chapter 5, book of Zechariah, a short chapter, and it begins with Zechariah saying, "And I turned and lifted my ophthalmos," my eyes, we have ophthalmologist as a derivative, "and saw, and behold, a drepanon flying, a sickle flying, or a scythe," and what they were in different places in the world were, they looked different. I have to find it here. I got it on the, here we go, Wikipedia. The scythe. Now, apparently it cuts on both two edges, and I'm not exactly sure how it works. You can read all about the scythe or the sickle. And so the scythe, sickle that we are talking about here is flying. Apparently it's in the air. He sees it flying. It's something moving. Now, of course, a lot of people could say, well, it's something like a B-2 bomber that's going to destroy people, and it looks like a sickle. And I'm sure people have come up with all sorts of explanations for what this exactly is. I'd say he saw a flying sickle, and it was in something that he saw that God gave for him to see. And he said to me, "What do you see?" And I said, "I see a sickle flying, of the length 20 cubits, and the width 10 cubits. So a cubit is 18 inches, so that would be a 30-foot by 15-foot instrument. And 30-foot long would be the handle, and then apparently 15-foot for the blade of some sort." And he said to me, "Well, this is the curse going forth upon the face of all the earth." The curse, the sickle, it mentions it in the book of Revelation, actually quite a bit. It says here, "And I saw, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud sitting was one like unto Son of Man, having upon his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle." Drepanon. "And another angel came forth from out of the temple, crying with a great voice to the one sitting upon the cloud, Send forth your sickle and reap, for the hour came to reap, for the harvest of the earth is dried. And the one sitting upon the cloud put his sickle into the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came forth from out of the temple in the heaven, having also himself a sharp sickle. And another angel came forth from out of the altar, having authority over the fire, and called with a great cry to the one having the sharp sickle, saying, Send forth your sharp sickle, and gather the vintage of the clusters of the grapevine of the earth, for her grapes are ripened. So to see what the book of Revelation has more on a sickle, and now this is in our book, Entities of the Book of Revelation. You can read about other places that are related to this with the sharp sickle. But back in the olden days, in the book of the Judges, many times the Jews were taken over by the Philistines and other peoples of the land, and they wouldn't let them make swords or any type of a weapon. So they would use and learn how to use their farming tools to use them as a weapon. And here, in many places in the Bible, it uses these farming tools as a weapon or as a tool for God's pouring out his wrath upon man, upon the earth, and which is the case here. For he says, for every kleptes, a thief, a kleptomaniac, the derivative from out of this one side of the sickle, of the blade, shall be punished unto death. And every perjurer from out of this other side shall be punished unto death. So apparently the sickle was, as it would go back and forth, and it would cut on the blade somehow on both ways. I'm not a farmer. I've never used a scythe or a sickle, sure a lot of you out there that are living in the Midwest, where there is a lot of wheat and so forth, would know exactly what it's talking about. I have experience with fishing, so I know when it comes into fishing and also sailing, where somebody in Iowa may not have the slightest idea on what it's talking about in certain things. And then he continues, and I will bring it forth, says the Lord Almighty, Pantocrator, and it shall enter into the ecology house of the klepto, and into the econ of the one swearing an oath by my name for a lie. So the people that are lying and the people that are swearing an oath that's falsely, they will what? It says, and it shall rest in the midst of his house, and it shall finish it off entirely, even its wood and its stones. So even though the rebuilding of the temple is going on, we can see that the warning here by the prophet is sin, and in the form of here perjury and theft. But just because they're rebuilding Jerusalem doesn't mean that what is going to result is a perfect place for the Jews. We see this because it was this temple that they were building here was destroyed by the Romans, and for 2,000 years Jerusalem stood empty, and now it's re-inhabited in 1948 by the Jews, but there's no temple. But even if there was a temple, sin would still exist, and it wouldn't change until the millennial temple, where the Jesus, the Messiah, I believe, reigns. But this second temple that'll be the third temple, in Jerusalem, will be the one that the beast has control over, and sin will still abound. And I'm sure that the Jews at the time that Zechariah is writing this probably didn't want to hear about sin anymore. Probably figures, well, now that they're able to go back to Jerusalem, everything is okay, just as the people coming back to Jerusalem in 1948 and today as I'm speaking think everything is going to be okay. And then it changes and it says, and came forth the angel speaking to me. So this angel is a really busy angel, coming back and showing him and explaining things in the last 3 chapters. And he said to me, well, look up with your ophthalmos and behold what's going forth. This going forth is. And I said, well, what is it? And he said, well, this is the measure basket going forth. A metron is a measure. Now, what exactly it was, I put basket because the person is put inside of it, so I can't imagine what else it could be. Could be some kind of a metal, I suppose, like a trapeze. I don't know. But I have a measure basket is going forth. And he said, this is their iniquity in all the earth. So now Zechariah is seeing the iniquity is worldwide, not just in Jerusalem. And again, sin is abounding. And he says, and behold, a talent of lead was being lifted away. A talent is 60 pounds, some type of a 60-pound lead. It's heavy. And behold, one woman, now Guinea could be a wife, but I believe here it's a woman because there's nothing about marriage, sat down in meso. The mesoderm is the middle portion of the skin layer. Sat down in the midst of the measure basket. And he said, this is anomia, lawlessness. So this lawlessness that is occurring is possibly referring to in Jerusalem or the world. And he tossed her, the woman, into the midst of the measure basket. And he tossed the stone of lead into her stoma, into her mouth. And I lifted my eyes and I saw, and behold, 2 Ginecus, 2 women going forth. And the wind was in their wings. Well, so these somehow they women, they had wings, which is not anything human. It doesn't say they were angels, but they were women. And I was sure people could try to explain this as some type of an airplane or helicopter, I don't know, whatever. And the wind was in their wings. But again, I just take it as he saw two women. And the meaning of it, they had a meaning, and it's given to him by the angel. And these had wings as wings of the hoopoe bird. Now, I don't know what a hoopoe bird looks like. Epapos. The problem with the birds are that what a bird looks like in what a bird looks like in one area. If you were in Alaska and you saw a certain type of a bird and you described it, and then you went to some place like in Finland and try to explain what the hoopoe bird was, if they didn't have the hoopoe bird there, you'd try to find the closest bird you could find, I suppose, and say, well, this is what it's like, a hoopoe bird. And so what exactly it looks like, the same thing happened with the trees. A tree in the mentions in the Bible would be in the desert area around Israel, wouldn't be the same, which was called the sycamine tree, and I believe that the King James called it sycamore. Well, the sycamore and the tree is a deciduous tree, and the one in the wilderness is completely different. But as they were translating the King James, and they used a tree that the people of England were familiar with, a sycamore. And they, the two women, took up the measure basket between the earth and the heaven. So, and this other woman is in the measure basket, who is lawlessness. So there's a meaning for this. So they took it up, two women take it up. And I said to the angel speaking with me, well, where are these carrying the measure basket? And he said to me, well, they build for it a house in the land of Babylon, even to prepare, and shall put it there upon its preparation place. So the woman in Revelation was a city. Now, I don't think that's the case here. I don't know exactly what the two women were. You could write me and tell me what you think that they are. I'm sure a lot of people have given them, have tried to give explanations of who these two women are. I can't imagine what two women in the Bible that I know of could have been these two women. But yet that's what they were. And they took a woman into the measure basket, and it says they build for it a house in the land of Babylon. Well, Babylon is where they just left. And so in the land of Babylon, so in the area of Iraq today, and they're building a house there to prepare that it was it was iniquity and anomia and lawlessness, and they shall put it there upon its preparation place. So somehow this lawlessness is either going to happen to Babylon or is going to occur from Babylon. And in the book of Revelation, of course, I believe that Babylon is Jerusalem. So I don't see that would mean Jerusalem here, because Babylon still existed at this time that Zechariah was writing this. Chapter 6, we go into another vision, and our next seminar we'll go through that and find out what it's all about. And I hope you'll join us in chapter 6, and God bless.